Hey there, Soul Shines. It's Michelle here, and I have a piece to the puzzle of life. Life is about experiences, and so today I'm going to talk to you about experiences. So a while back, maybe a month and a half ago now, couple months, something like that, I watched a kind of a webinar. It was a lady who was recording videos that she's going to have people have access to, like they can purchase these videos that have to do with time. And so she allowed people to watch Facebook Lives while she was recording. And so I got to be a part of that. And I was really excited. I learned a lot of great tips. One of the things that she has, she calls the 12-1 challenge or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what she calls it. But the idea is that you pick 12 experiences that you will have over the next year. So one for each month. And then one challenge that you want to work on for the year. So my challenge is actually finishing a young adult book and self-publishing it. I have had this book that I've been writing for years. And this year I'm like, nope, it's happening. I've got to get it done. So that's my challenge. My experiences, I going back and forth between pretty easy and really hard experiences. So my experience for June was actually to crochet myself something I like, and as well as learn something new. And so I actually made myself a purse. I got all the crocheting part done, but I didn't get the sewing part done until this month, which was sewing a liner that I put in the bag, sewed into the bag. So that was really fun. I love my purse, and I learned how to make a liner for a purse. I've been sewing since I was like 9 or 10, maybe even 8. Crocheting about the same amount of time, but I'd never actually done something where I combined the two skills. And I also learned how to sew zippers in a way I never did. So I was really excited about that. So my experience was amazing in that I got to learn these kind of things and stuff. My experience for July, oh wow, it was an experience, that's for sure. On July 4th, I went with a friend up to a lake here in Utah, and my experience for July is to paddleboard. I remember seeing them a year ago thinking, holy cow, why would anybody do that? I've often thought that about surfing, like, how could anybody surf? Like, seriously. I've had a fear of water for as long as I can remember. I think it's even inherited, because my grandmother was afraid of water, and a lot of, some of the family is, some of the family isn't, that kind of thing. So I've been afraid of water for as long as I can remember. And so a lake is even worse, because and a swimming pool, I know where the bottom is, and I have learned how to swim, so I feel a little safe there. But in a lake, you don't know where the bottom of the lake is. And it's kind of gross water, right? Like, yeah, lots of fish and things in the lake. So I was really afraid of falling in. So on the 4th of July, I got on the paddleboard, which was I was so proud of myself. I'm like, I did it. I got on the paddleboard. I kneeled on the paddleboard. My muscles were so sore the next day, but it was so worth it. I loved being on the paddleboard. I loved being alone out on the lake instead of interact with other people. And then sometimes, like, I had my kids with me that day, and so a couple of the younger kids would sit on the paddleboard with me, and that was really fun. So I really appreciated that experience, but that wasn't it for me. I was like, no, I want to stand on the paddleboard, because if I'm going to have an experience and get the most out of life, then this is what I'm going to do. So Saturday, I went up to the lake again with my friend. It was just him and me this time. He had his raft and he had his paddleboard. So we took turns. So I got on the paddleboard. I tried standing. It was like really wobbly, really scared. So I didn't stay up, and I was like, this is crazy. There's got to be a way. He tried it. He was just as wobbly. He's only had his paddleboard for a couple months, and hasn't been able to use it much. So he is still working on his ability to paddleboard as well. So I would spend time and I'd ask questions because, you know, being in the questions is amazing. So I would ask, you know, questions about fears, questions about what it would take and things like that. And then I would use my clearing statements. I realized that I, in some ways, would say I'm afraid, and yet really in other ways I was terrified. And so I was doing all these different kinds of things. I would ask different questions. I expressed gratitude, and I just said like a prayer. I said, thank you for helping me to figure this out. Thank you for helping me to be able to stand on the paddleboard. I had all kinds of ideas come after that one, so I definitely agree that the gratitude is amazing. So what I did, and excuse me, I could use a little bit of water here. I would have an idea and I'd be like, my friend said you're supposed to have your feet pretty wide apart, but maybe they need to be a little closer together. And so I started looking at the other paddleboarders on the lake, and I noticed most of them really didn't have their feet very far apart, shoulder width or closer actually. And so I was like, okay, so your feet don't need to be that wide apart. A more comfortable stance makes sense. And then I had, you know, I got on the paddleboard again and I tried it, and I was like really wobbly again, but I kind of got it, and I was like, okay, what can I do? So I would like try standing up, and then I would kneel back down, and the thoughts about you know, kind of bending my knees a little bit, using the oar to hold my balance. So I could stand up and then use the oar to help hold my balance. And that actually was really helpful to help me just be standing. The other thought was to actually intentionally make the board go back and forth so I could feel like, you know, there is some movement and it's okay. Helping me to feel safe. I kept asking clearing questions, and I am so excited. I was able to get to a point where not only could I stand on the board with the oar, but I could stand without the oar, and I got to a point, it took me a few tries, would stand up, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm moving, but I don't dare oar, and so I'd get back down, stand up again, and try to paddle a couple times, get back down. Finally, I got to the point where I would stand up and I would paddle, and I was very confident going up and down. And yes, my muscles are still very sore a couple days later. It was so fun. And now I'm like, okay, I want to continue paddleboarding. I would have never tried that had I not given myself the challenge of creating experiences. So life is meant to be experienced. That's just really what it is. Life is meant to be experienced. And so if you give yourself an experience each month, then you will push yourself and make it happen. Instead of, maybe some people have bucket lists. I'm not going to say get rid of your bucket list, but this person doesn't have a bucket list. She's like, I'm like, why do I have a bucket list when I can just say, here's the next 12 months, what I want to do in the next 12 months, put those things in, and then every 12 months, and then she's actually, you know, like in 3 years, she's done 36 experiences, whereas if she would have just had it on a bucket list, it may never have happened because she would have never given it a deadline. And so she might have experienced maybe one thing on her bucket list in those 36 months instead of 36 experiences. So, I think that's a pretty fun way to do it. Give yourself that deadline every month of something you want to experience to get off your bucket list, or to stretch yourself. So for me, this was a stretch, and it turned out to be really fun and something I'm like, okay, when are we going up again? Because now I'm really excited about it and I want to do things. Oh, here's another belief that I got to deal with and let go of. A belief about my weight being a reason why I couldn't be on a paddleboard, which is kind of funny. And then I was like, I kind of want to see somebody else who's heavier be on the paddleboard. And guess what? There was a guy out there who was pretty big and heavy, and he was standing up on the paddleboard, and it was like, hey, look at that. I cleared my belief, and there he is. So that was pretty fun. I am posting a picture probably about now of me on the paddleboard. There's some more stuff that comes up with it that I get to clear, because it's one thing for you guys to see my face. It's another for you to get guys to see my whole body and my super white legs and stuff. Yeah, all that stuff that I'm letting go of. So I'm pretty excited. I wanted to show you proof that yes, I am standing on the paddleboard. My friend was supposed to get a video. He didn't get a video, so you get pictures. Super excited, and I'm living this. Next month there is a trip that I'm taking, because I wanted to do a trip, and if I give myself that deadline that we're doing this in August, then we'll do it in August. I'm gonna look really quick and tell you some of the things I've written down for the next few months. I can open it to the right page here. So next month is my trip. In September, this may sound crazy to you guys, but I want to do real karaoke. So I've done karaoke at parties, but I kind of want to go to like a karaoke club and do real karaoke. And because I don't drink alcohol, it will be, it will be all me. There's no drunk stuff there. So that's my September one, is to do real karaoke. In October, there is a costume I've wanted to do for Halloween since I was since I was a teenager. You know that movie, The Munsters, or the TV show, The Munsters? I've always wanted to dress like Lily for Halloween. And I just have always said that would be so much fun to be Lily for Halloween. And yet I've not ever done it. And so September, that is my experience that I want to actually get that done, so that on my deathbed I don't say, I never got to be Lily Munster. I'm kind of sad. When you put them down, you don't, and you actually achieve them. When you die, you can leave without those regrets of the things that you didn't do, that bucket list that you never did. So I'm going to be Herman Munster's wife, Lily, this October. And when that happens, I'll share pictures. In November, I want to go ice skating. I have been ice skating. It's been years. But I want to do that experience again, because that's what I want. So it's a little bit easier when I know I've been on skates before. In December, I want to go do snowshoeing. That kind of frightens me, because I know that sometimes the snow is taller than me. I'm only 5'1", and so sometimes the snow is taller than me, so that one makes me a little nervous. January's is a super easy one. I have another thing I want to crochet for myself again, because I've never made a full-size blanket, and so that's my goal, is to make myself a full-size blanket in crocheting. In February, there is a fancy restaurant in Utah that is extremely expensive, and I've always said, I'll never get to go there, but I've decided in February I'm going there. Whether I go with a sweetheart for Valentine's dinner, or whether I just go with myself or take a family member or whatever, I'm going to this fancy restaurant to say I went. Marches. There's a reason why it's out so far. To go hang gliding. That's kind of scary, but there's a lot of hang gliding in one spot in Utah, so I can do it. It's just super scary. In April, I want to go to the beach. I have not been to the beach since I was like 8, so I would really want to go to beach again, and that's my April thing. And then May. This one may surprise a lot of people. I have never been in an airplane. I have never gone anywhere on an airplane, and that's my May thing, is to fly somewhere in an airplane. If that means hiring somebody to take me up in the little tiny planes around Utah, then so be it. If it means I get to go on a trip in a 747 or whatever kind of jets they have now, awesome. But those are my things that I am putting out there for me to do over the next few months. And some of them are terrifying, and that's really fun, because then you get to face those fears or release those fears, or however you choose to do it. So I'm inviting you to give yourself deadlines for your experiences, to pick something to do in the next 2 weeks before the end of July, and then pick something that you're going to do in August and September and October, and at least get through the end of December, if not go through an entire year of experiences that you want to experience, so that when you get to the end of that year, you're like, oh my gosh, look at all these fun things that I've done. And say I fell in the lake, at least I had an experience, right? That would have been a totally different story to be telling you, like, oh my gosh, I tried paddleboarding and I fell in the lake. That would be its own story. It would have still been an experience. So that's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's what life is about. We're here to experience life. So give yourself something to experience. I love you guys. I will see you guys next time. Remember to let your light shine big, bright, live, and beautiful. Be you.